Hello and welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where I'll take you on the wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions, and like you, I want answers. First, I want to say hi to some people in the live chat. Xavier, Jonocide, Isabel, Danny, how are you doing today? Last week, we covered UFO hotspots in the USA, and it had such great feedback. It made sense to look into other nations. And of course, our neighbor to the south has quite a long history of UFO sightings and legends of beings coming from the stars. Mexico is a hotbed for UFOs, especially in and around the capital, Mexico City. But before we talk about this fun topic, let me bring in my co host, Jimmy Church from Fade to Black Radio. Jimmy, how are you? Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it's St. Patty's Day.
Are you
St.
wearing
Patty's
green?
Day. Do you know the history of St. Patty's Day? I'm just asking. I'm just gonna just hit you with.
They don't actually celebrate it in Ireland. I know that.
Oh, okay,
At least when I was there.
good. That's good. But here's the deal. And now I'm not some historian and stuff, but 461 AD. Right, the year 461. Did you know that? Did you
I
know what that?
didn't.
I did not know either. St. Patrick, a Christian missionary, bishop, and apostle of Ireland, was killed on this day in 461 AD in Saltdownpatrick, Ireland. And yes, today we honor him with the annual holiday of St. Patrick's Day. And that's what it is. And we honor him, I guess, with green beer and pub hopping here in the United States. But yeah, I did. 461 AD. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, as Mike says, what's more Irish than potatoes? No potatoes. I love potatoes, especially tater tots. Those are my favorite.
Tater tots.
Delicious with ketchup.
I had read. Then we'll move on. We'll get to today's show. I had read that potatoes were imported to Ireland. Did you know? Yeah. Now, I might look, the chat room's going to go, no, church. I'm just saying, I remember something about, like, they came from the United States or from South America. And potatoes weren't native to Ireland. I could be wrong. I could be wrong with these historical facts and figures. But there you go. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody. I got text all morning long. So, church, happy St. Patty's Day, man. Are you drinking? I'm like, man, it's 9 a.m. I don't know. I don't know about where you live, but here in LA, and I'm not kidding about this. I'll be driving to work, listening to talk radio in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30. I'm stuck in traffic, and there will be some live reporter for some radio station. I'm here at whatever, the St. Patrick's Bar in Santa Monica where we're drinking already. and then you got to go to work, right? Right after that, I don't know, man. St. Patty's Day. Okay, all right. So we celebrate St. Patrick today. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody.
Well, let's get into the topic about Mexico. So I think that before we cover any cases, let's talk about, I think, one of the most famous aspects of Mexico, at least in our field of research, and that is La Zona de Silencio, Mexico's Bermuda Triangle. And this place is pretty interesting.
Are you
let's start there. Let's go there.
That is Yeah, go. I can't. This is one of my favorite locations on the planet. Continue. What have you got?
It's pretty fantastic, and it's believed to be a rather strange and mysterious place. Legend says that in the area, electromagnetic transmissions cannot be received, radio doesn't work, compasses do not point to magnetic north, and there are UFOs sighted in and around the desert area. Stories of falling hot pebbles and all sorts of paranormal activity have piqued researchers' interest in the area from around the world. So it's pretty interesting. But some say that the myth or that the popularity of this area started in July of 1970 when the US military base near Green River, Utah fired an Athena test missile towards White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. But the missile lost control and instead of landing on the intended target, continued 400 miles south and fell in the desert region. Immediately, a team of specialists arrived to find the fallen rocket, and when the rocket was found after 3 weeks of intense search, an airstrip was built to transport the wreckage. So, the entire operation was very hush hush, consistent with just kind of government protocols, and nobody was told anything or asked about what happened. So the secretive nature of the operation was already spurring rumors among the residents. So it seems like a pretty mundane story for a very, I guess, exciting area. But there's also another explanation to how the Zona de Silencio got so much popularity. And one version of the story tells about a certain local by the name of Jaime who was hired by the military to guard the missile from sightseers. And then Jaime rather liked the attention and money that the missile had brought. By the way, this story is an alleged story. We simply don't know if it's true before I continue. So, as he is a part of the military, after the military had left, he, along with two local landlords, began to talk of the possibility of building a hotel in the area to encourage tourism. Some say that it was Jaime who began playing up the importance of the region to generate interest in the area, and together with his new friends, started creating a story with lots of pseudoscience and local folklore and fed it to the regional media. The media loved the story and the legend broke out. To tell everyone that's listening, this area is a complete desert. Like you wouldn't casually visit this location.
Right. Yeah, keep going. You've got me.
Well, I'm gonna pull up a picture of there's a sign of it and where it's located. So as you can tell, there's literally nothing there. There's nothing there, but there are a lot of researchers that come every single year to really test if these myths are true. Now, Jimmy, you love this area so much. What can you tell us about it?
Well, I mean, I when I first heard about it, just like everybody else, you have to go in and collect what you can on it. I've always been fascinated with the claims of the area, which, in my opinion, and with my research over the years, I think that it's all pretty solid. That this is an area where nothing seems to work. Now, there are other, you didn't touch upon this, you did a little bit, but there are other stories that combine with that missile, that it may have been a UFO crash there and a crash retrieval that happened. Now, these stories are out there. And so when I first heard about, I love the way you say it, silencio. When I first heard about it, the how do I what's the word I'm looking for? I guess anomalies. We'll just go with anomalies. The anomalies that have been reported in the region, which is radio, no television, no compass, electronics fail. Everything that you're carrying with you as far as electronics go, communications devices, nothing works in this area. So you have to ask yourself why, and did they work before? These are great images because over the years, with the different reports and different researchers and investigators that have been there, all show the same images in that this is a remote area. There is nothing there. So why would there be the possibility of a man-made electronic fence put around this area to block off everything? Could it be that? Or is it, completely natural? And then you throw in the other elements, the paranormal and supernatural activity that has been reported there. Of course, this errant missile launch, which, by the way, just on its face is pretty remarkable that it traveled that far, missed its target, and landed in Mexico. We should have had an international, crazy event happen, but it didn't. And so was the missile used as a cover? Was there a UFO crash that was there? The United States, and this is what I have read over the years, is that the United States used that as a cover, that apparently, to go in and say, hey, our missile is there. We've got to go in and retrieve it. And they use that information with the Mexican government for permission for our military to go into a foreign country and retrieve something. Now, was that a cover for a known crashed UFO, that a flying saucer did indeed crash in this area, and the United States military went in and retrieved it and had a cover story put into place? Now, the missile part of it just seems too easy, too convenient, and also too believable, right? But why would this area not have anything electronic work in it, including compasses, by the way, which is also very strange. So I'm leaning on, and as we go through everything today, a lot of stuff that has gone on and continues to go on in Mexico. I'm thinking that a crashed craft was there. The United States government went in and retrieved it. I think there was way too much security and diplomacy involved there for just a missile. If indeed that's what it was. I think there was just too heavy of a military presence. I think that something crashed. We went in, we retrieved it. Something crashed out of this earth, and whatever crashed has caused that area to have this electronic fence, put up in place. And now, and one last thing before I flip this back over to you, could it be that the United States installed some type of communications barrier there while they were doing the crash retrieval, right, of this flying saucer? They didn't want anybody else to know, the news, the Mexican officials, law enforcement, civilians, to be listening in on what was going on as they retrieve this flying saucer. It's a great case, and the location is real. And they've got their own sign. Did you post a picture of that, by the way?
I did. Yeah, that was the first picture I showed. But you brought up something that was kind of interesting. And another story says that it was the Zona de Silencio was first reported in the 1930s by Francisco Saravia, a Mexican pilot who claimed that his radio had mysteriously failed to function while flying over the zone.
Right.
So you're looking at multiple decades before this missile from the United States crashed into this area. So has it always been like that? Is it something that's kind of new? I think that there still needs to be a lot more research done onto the area. I think it's very fascinating, and I think more people need to know about it as well, because it really did catch my eye.
It's a fascinating case. It's a great way to start off this show. Again, you've selected.
Oh, thank you.
You've selected a topic. I saw somebody post that you're having a fantastic hair day, by the way.
I showered.
Yes. So did I. Okay, so But yeah, what a great subject today. And when Christina and I were talking about this over the phone, I immediately said, well, Jaime Maussan, and he is such a central figure throughout Mexico on locations and hotspots of Mexico, and what he has done. I don't know how he pulls this stuff off, but and I pointed that out to you, and Christina goes, "Who's Jaime Maussan?"
And you met him personally.
I have, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Look at that, Jaime. I loaned Jaime my jacket to take this picture, but yeah. There's Jaime. And
So what can you tell us about him? He's a pretty famous Mexican UFO researcher.
well, his history, he I sat and talked to him about his career one day at length, and some of the things that I didn't know about Jaime, because I thought that he was just into this from the word go, and this was his life and his passion. I think his dad had a family business or a farm or a ranch, and there was that possibility he was going to go in that direction. He ended up going to college, and somehow in school decided that he wanted to be a journalist, and go out there like everybody does, save the world, and go out and do it. Like, that was my original plan too, as well, to go out and just, be a journalist for the people and report from the streets. And that's what he did. And he had told me, now check this out. This is really mind blowing when it comes to Jaime. He was into climate change and Antarctica and holes in the ozone. And you're thinking, what does Mexico care about, climate change in Antarctica? It's a nice warm country. And why would the concern be there for a young journalist to get into climate change? And he started working with other countries and reporting on this. And that's how he got his start in journalism. And he made quite a few waves into this, and one thing led to another, and he had his first UFO report, and somebody had sent him a video. Again, he was very young, and went, "Wow, this is interesting." And up to that point, he didn't know much about UFOs and the subject. But that's how it happened. It happened during his journalism career. And then one thing led to another. When I introduced him, I looked through his bio, and I went back to him and said, "Wait a minute, how many people watch your show per day? Right? How long have you been?" And the numbers are incredible. And if we take a real look at Jaime Maussan, and this is not a joke, I would say that Jaime is the most viewed host on the subject of UFOs in the world. I don't think anybody has those numbers. Not Art Bell in his day, not me, not Coast to Coast, not Ancient Aliens. No, it's Jaime Maussan. And we are talking about, 10 million people a week. Yeah, that's a crazy huge number of viewers every single day, and he reports on this. And one of the things, okay, so we'll back up to Jaime.
He's primarily a TV news journalist. He is like the Mexican George Knapp.
A million times bigger, though. I mean, the only people that know George Knapp in the United States are people in the UFO community, or people who watch the nightly news, local news in Las Vegas. But the United States doesn't know who George Knapp is. The country of Mexico knows
and
who.
All of South America. He's so well known.
Yeah. It's like that. I have been stopped many, many, many times from friends of mine that specifically have asked me if I've ever met Jaime Maussan. And nobody's ever asked me if I've met George Knapp. And it's just the way it is. So that's Jaime. And now, when I introduced him, this was last year. Now I've met him many times over the years, but you know, and I've spoken to him, of course, but this was an opportunity for me to just like, you know, just sit down. We had the time, and we had the opportunity to really talk to each other. And he looked at me. He looked right in my eyes, Christina, and he goes, "Today, I'm going to blow your mind." And I said, "What?" He goes, "You wait, Jimmy. You just wait." And I said, "How do you get this stuff? How do you get?" And he said, "Look, from the beginning, Jimmy, when I first started this, I realized that video cameras were everywhere. People had video cameras. So I just went on my show and said, 'Everybody, send me your stuff.'" And he said, "One day I got one video." He said, "You know, a few days later, I had 100. He said, "The next thing you know, I had thousands coming in a week. And I didn't even have a way to look at everything. And the show grew. I was able to get a bigger staff, and we were able to look at this." And he has amassed not only a great video collection, but he has contacts, and he has people, contacts throughout the world. And he has people that send him stuff every single day. That is just incredible. And that's Jaime Maussan. Now, he has stumbled. He has told me that he has made mistakes. He said he's given too much material, and not everybody's perfect, and he certainly isn't. And he has made mistakes in the past, but he said he is an honest journalist. He doesn't want to mislead anybody, and he does the best that he can to make sure that everything that he brings forward is authentic. Now, are things hoaxed? Sure. Has he been misled? Absolutely. We all have. I've been played on with hoaxed material over the years. Let me and by saying that, we'll get back to Jaime and Mexico in just a second. I want to say this. I'm going to make this very brief. About 5 years ago, I was sent an email with a long story tied to it. Now, the story said this: close friend of mine who is a chef of note, and he owns his own restaurant, took these pictures last night. Right? Okay, so that's how it starts out. A friend of mine, a chef, took these pictures last night, and he said he was on the side of the road, snapped these pictures, and here they are. And if you need more information, reach out to me. And he sends me like 4 pictures, and I'm looking at them, and they were of triangles in the sky, blue sky, incredible, right? So wow, no, I think it was 4 pictures of one triangle. Okay. I don't think there was 2 triangles. One triangle, 4 images. Incredible. You can see some trees and stuff, but I mean, like, the holy crap stuff. And so I write the article, and I'm getting ready to release it on my website. And I reach out to John Greenwald, and I send him the images, and I also sent him my copy that I had written. And he said, "Okay, you're good with this?" And I said, "Well, you know what? I just need to vet I'm going to sit on it. I just need to vet this just a little bit more, and I want to talk to this chef and get some inside information." So I go back and I tell John's ready to launch this on the Black Vault. I'm going to do it at jimmychurchradio.com. And you know what I do, Christina? And I've got it sitting up on the website. Haven't published it yet, but I do a right click, search Google for images. Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
The images were 7 years old. 7. And so I click on this Google article or this article out there, and there's the same picture. Oh, God. And the story underneath it is a family in a Walmart in South Carolina took these pictures of this. I'm a family in South Carolina. The guy that sent me this story, it was in New York City. It was outside of New York. The chef was driving home after work. The whole just all made up. And now I came close. I sent this to Greenwald. You can ask John. He'll tell you the whole story, man. I called John. I was like, pump the brakes, pump the brakes. And I write back to this person. I said, hey, ask your friend if he's ever been to South Carolina or something like that. And why? And I said, well, these images, I said, look at this link. And I put the link in. I said, these pictures weren't taken last night in New Jersey, man, outside of Manhattan. Okay. All right. They've been on the web for 7 years. And I think the person wrote me back and said, my friend's not returning my phone calls. It's just all BS. But it happens, and people go out of their way to mislead. What did they want me to do? What did they want Jaime to do? To go on TV, to go on Fade to Black, to launch this thing, and for Jaime to go on TV so they can see their hoaxed video on TV or whatever it is, their made up story, their little moment of fame, or there's other reasons, so they could turn around and go, ha, ha, Jimmy Church is posting hoax stuff. Jaime Maussan is showing hoax stuff. I don't know what the reasons are, but it happens. And so when Jaime said that to me, I know that he's being honest. He's not out there ever trying to mislead. People make mistakes, and I have been a victim of it too, where it has been a focused effort to send me a lie. A hoax, a lie, and for what end? I don't know, Christina. But back to Jaime. I think he's a genuine guy. I think his heart is in the right place, and he has built a network to collect these videos and these images and these contact experiences, and he turns around and shares them with the world.
With being a reporter or a journalist, it's not easy. And I think that if you have that integrity of wanting to put the best stuff out there, that's all that matters. But being hoaxed, like you said, being people using you it's something that kind of comes with the territory. And it's rather disappointing, but it's just how it is. And sometimes, like you say, it's not easy to tell the difference between a true story and a hoaxed story. It's not easy.
Yeah, and Christina, there'll be, maybe it's already happened with you, but there'll be that moment where you're going to open up an email, something's going to go down, and you're going to look at this, and there'll be a video, it'll be some images, and whatever it is, the story that's tied to it, and discernment comes into play immediately, where you're going to have to sit back and go, wow, this is incredible. Well, okay, if it is, right there, stop, and you're going to have to practice discernment and really go back before you jump the gun. You've got to vet, and a Google image search is your best friend. It is your best
It
friend.
is, but also having the courage to admit that you were wrong, I think, is also really big. It's very important. Mark, thank you so much. Do you want to say his last name?
Tasaka.
I don't even bother. I don't, because I mean, it's Jimmy says it so nicely. Like I can't even compare. So thank you so much, Mark.
Tasaka.
So when do you think the best time for a UFO to be seen? Well, probably when everyone's looking up, right?
Sure.
Well, when could that possibly be? Well, maybe during a solar eclipse. On July 11th, 1991, many citizens of Mexico City looked into the sky to see the last total solar eclipse of the 20th century. That afternoon, the city plunged into darkness. While many watched the eclipse, they noticed a UFO flying in the sky. The bright disc shaped object had positioned itself beneath the eclipse sun precisely at the time when millions of people were looking to the skies. The object hovered for almost half an hour before, during, and after the eclipse was over. There were countless video recordings during the event, and it was believed that about 17 were sent directly to Jaime to see if they were authentic. So we did analyze these as well. And I want to pull up a picture of what one of the videos captured. And I'm trying to pull it up. Give me a moment. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, take a look at this.
Yeah.
Yes, it's blurry. Yes, it's not that good, but keep in mind this was filmed in 1991 where camcorders or VHS was not to par. It was not that great. But what's fascinating is that millions of people saw this craft during the last solar eclipse of the
Now,
20th century.
let me jump in. Maybe you were about to say this, but I don't want, if you pull this image down before you do, I need to say this. The two images that you are looking at are not from the same video. Now, I specifically remember. I don't know the locations or the videographers' names. Oh, yeah, okay. Well done, Christina. See, I didn't know. These are two different locations, two different people shooting this craft during the eclipse. So I just wanted to point that out. This wasn't from the same video or different frames from the same video. No, these were two different videos. And when you see the videos actually run in real time, which I have, it's obviously the same craft. It's two different video angles, two different angles of the craft, and two different levels of quality in the video because there were different video cameras, and
Right.
this was shot back in 1991. Well done, Christina. I wanted to point that out,
Yeah.
and you just did it for me. But I know this. I know this case really, really well because when this went down in 1991, this made news.
Mhm.
And now this is 1991. This was before the internet and everything else, but the videos were playing all over Mexican TV in Los Angeles. This was like a big, big deal. And I watched it over and over again. Now, since then, through the years, Jaime has brought this case up so many times because the eclipse, which was directly over Mexico City, number one, but number two,
Mhm.
it lasted for like 6 minutes. You know, something like it was like the longest eclipse ever recorded. And I don't know why. I think you would think they would all be the same length of time, but it lasted for over 6 minutes. And so Mexico City, one of the most populated cities in the world, everybody in the city was looking at the eclipse, and everybody saw that. It was absolutely incredible. One of the most documented, unreal UFO sightings in the history of this planet.
It's pretty fantastic. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know about it until doing the research for today's show. And I'm thinking, how come I didn't know about this case? This
Mhm.
is fantastical in every sense of the word.
Yes,
And I'm thinking, how come I
truly
didn't
is.
know about this? This is unbelievable.
Yep.
John Aside, thank you so much for the ramen fund.
Oh,
Seriously, that's
John
going straight to
Aside,
ramen.
my man. Have you seen his fade to black tattoo?
Oh, I've seen it. It's very cool.
I bring it up every time. He's a good dude. Okay. Man, this show was blowing by. What do we? What's next?
Well, something I want to mention about this solar eclipse before we continue that Jaime had mentioned was that So Jaime went on to document the incredible incident in detail, always retailing it to the ancient Mayan prophecies, which foretold the coming of the 1991 solar eclipse and its global significance. It
Correct.
stated, in the era of the sixth sun, all that was buried will be discovered. Truth shall be the seed of life, and the sons of the sixth sun will be the ones who travel through the stars. I was like, whoa, that's kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Now, this sighting has been debunked by by those stating that what people saw was actually Venus or Jupiter or other misidentified conventional flying craft such as
Right,
airplanes or
right,
jets.
right.
But what do you say to that?
If you saw the image, you know, you need to watch the video. When I, Christina, I'm just going to tell everybody, I'm one of the crankiest people when it comes to watching videos. Okay, I just look at them. You know, I very rarely see what I think is a UFO or a flying saucer or a craft of not of this earth. You know, it's so easy to look at an image or a video and realize that you're looking at a plane. It's a little out of focus. You're not seeing the wings. You're not seeing the tail. Or, you know, it's just not being picked up right. You're seeing a bird. You know, it's too easy to do. Not with the solar eclipse videos. Those are multiple videos. It's not just those two. There are lots of videos of that solar eclipse showing that craft. And you would be able to tell if it was a plane. And or I don't know what else you would explain it away as a helicopter. No, that is some kind of crazy craft. I don't know what it is, but it's not a plane. It's not a helicopter. It's not a rocket. It's not a satellite. It's not a balloon. It's not a bird.
None
So
of the above. Just
no,
just
no.
check the box of none of the above.
Well, you know what? Just put the image up again. Put the image up.
Okay.
And let me explain to everybody why I'm saying this with such certainty. And it's because when you see the body of a plane, okay, you will see the fuselage, and then you're looking for the tail, you know, that will be out of focus. You know, if it's a bird, you're looking for the head, you're looking for that has none of those elements in play here. None of it. You know, I don't know what we're looking at, but it's not a helicopter, it's not an airplane, it's not a bird, it's not anything natural. And those are two different angles of the same craft, and you can clearly see now. I'll just go and say you're looking at what appears to be a flying saucer, like you know, this is the Bob Lazar sport craft, you know, and I don't know how else to explain it, but that is something that you just can't debunk and say that that's an airplane that you're seeing out of focus, or that's a bird, that's an insect. No, it's none of that. Shot from multiple locations during the eclipse. Okay, so you can pull that down.
Mark, thank you again so much for the super sticker. And Kate, thank you. So there's something.
Chase is hanging out in here.
Hey there.
Man, what kind of celebrity hangout? What do you guys think this is? Studio 51, Studio 54, the hangout for celebrities. How you doing, Kate? She's cool. Okay. Next up. Oh, we were going with the Mayan calendar.
Right, that's what I had mentioned. But what I wanted to state, well, do you have anything to state to that before I continue?
No.
Okay. So 2 months after the eclipse sighting, another UFO described as being bright, round, and about 10 meters in diameter was spotted during a military air show in Mexico. And this was seen 3 years in a row.
Yes, it was. This is crazy town. Keep going. This is one of my favorite cases too, as well.
So it happened in Let me find what I'm looking for. But so you got it in 2 months after 1991. You saw this round-looking craft, and it was hovering right below the several planes in formation. So a lot of people were witnessing this. Then a year later in 1992, a similar UFO sighting occurred at the same air show in which the disk descended rapidly and vanished mysteriously without a trace. And I'm gonna pull this up. Let me pull it up of a
Do that again.
picture. A little. And so this is the same looking craft in Texas and Peru. Let me pull it up. You know, there's so many buttons. You got to get through everything to get there.
Yeah.
But take a look at this.
Yes.
This is pretty bizarre. And then the sighting occurred again in 1993 as well. But have you seen this picture before?
8 zillion and 42 times. Today, now it's 43. I'm being serious. I've looked at this so many times.
Well, this is the kind of craft that appeared both in Texas and Peru, and it's pretty fascinating. But if you have nothing to add to that,
No, I mean it's just this. If you look at that craft, and you go back to the eclipse sighting, very so you don't have to go back to that image, but it looks very similar.
yeah, it's made many appearances.
It has. It has.
In Mexico.
Yes, it has. It has. Where's the fireball one of the air show, though?
I have it. Let me pull it up again.
Because
not again, but let me.
This air show sequence, and you're right, it was 3 years in a row,
which is pretty amazing.
Well, I think one of the videographers was there for 2 of the years and shot. Yeah, there you go.
It's a pretty blurry photo, and I do apologize, but here are the airplanes in formation, and then here's that craft.
Yeah, and I think those are airplanes. And then one of the years, it was a group of helicopters that was there. Is this the only image that you have?
This is the only one that I pulled up. Yeah, but
okay. Now, I have. If I'm skeptical of case now, there was a lot of witnesses to this that describe it. But when you look at the video, is there a possibility of this being something blowing in the wind? I'm not going bird. That's not what I'm suggesting. But a piece of a newspaper, a sheet of, I don't know. But there is something here to me when I watch the video, each one of them, that could there be, because it's an air show, could it be, some garbage in the air? I don't know, a trash bag. I'm reaching at things, but it always felt strange to me with the way that it looks in the video. Here we're looking at a still image.
Right.
But when you watch the video itself, I'm not saying I know what it is, but my natural inclination that this has happened at the air show. Air shows create a lot of turbulence. You've got all these jet engines and fans and things are blowing around. At altitude, these planes are flying low. They're not flying very high. It's an air show. And is that what we are looking at here? I'm not debunking anything. I'm saying that my reaction over the years to these 3 incidents, it's a very strange coincidence that it happened at the same air show 3 years in a row. And I believe one of the guys shot videos 2 years in a row and caught this. The helicopter one also was pretty interesting, but you don't have that image.
No, I don't. But you're right. It could have been very possible that it could have been hoaxed if you're seeing it 3 years in a row. It's possible.
I'm not calling it a hoax. I'm just saying that something was blowing around in the air and it was picked up on camera. Hoax is different. Hoax is when you do something to deceive. That's different. That's a hoax. This I just think was garbage. Garbage.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Jimmy, we're coming towards a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Micah Hanks, and let me tell you something. I support Christina Gomez as a Patreon subscriber, and here's why you should too. She brings all of her unique insights to a whole new generation, and all while she's also going through college. Listen, support Christina, become a Patreon subscriber today. You won't regret it.
Hey there, it's Christina. Did you know you can get access to an exclusive extra segment of additional questions and answers with all of my guests, as well as behind-the-scene videos and photos? Ever wonder how I turn my small college dorm apartment into a studio where I can shoot new videos or set up lighting and backdrops for my show, or what camera I use? Yep, that video is there too, where I explain as I go along and also give the story of how I learned to do special video effects and editing. You can get access to all of that and much more by joining my Patreon Supporters Club. You'll be helping by supporting this channel, my research, and production costs, as well as investing in new shows coming soon. Starting from as little as $5 a month, there are several tiers you can choose from that suit your budget, and each tier carries extra perks and benefits. Join my Patreon club and become a supporter today. And we're back. So one interesting thing that I want to mention specifically to Jimmy is the Popocatépetl volcano in Mexico. And this volcano has a number of unusual UFO sightings that have occurred there over the years. Located to the southeast of Mexico City, it is the second largest peak and in Mexico and one of the country's most active volcanoes. Most of the locations recently reported UFO sightings have occurred on one of the live webcams situated near the volcano. And this webcam you can typically find online if you just type it in Google, but I'll place the link in the description box below for you, where you can see this volcano live. So what's really interesting that there are quite a few people that watch this on a daily basis, and whenever they do think that they capture something obscure, they do post it online. And there's quite a few videos of certain lights or certain craft coming in and exiting this volcano. Now, there are some explanations, some more mundane explanations for what people are seeing. And some people suggest that the bright object may, in fact, be the International Space Station or even a plane that only appears to be coming out of the volcano, but is instead simply flying overhead. Another, perhaps more likely explanation is a volcanic bomb, a large chunk of molten rock that gets launched into the air during an eruption. But for those that have seen the videos, you might think differently. But Jimmy, what do you think about this very special volcano in Mexico?
The video evidence that has appeared over the years, and it's not just one video, it's not two, it's hundreds, if not thousands. There are live streams that are happening nearly daily. But here's the thing. When you look at some of the more definitive, spectacular things, these are large craft, and they don't necessarily even follow a regular trajectory. You see things coming in from the side. You see things exit. You see things going straight up and straight down into the volcano. And clearly that is what is going on. And the videos themselves are fascinating. Now, it's not just this volcano. You have to ask why. Mount Rainier, right? Shasta. These are volcanoes. There are volcanoes all around the world that have had this same activity. This one seems to have more than the rest of them. But we can go right back to Kenneth Arnold, and that's Mount Rainier. That is a volcano. Shasta is a volcano. Okay, so now you have to ask why. And one of the theories that is out there is maybe ET is studying what makes up our planet. You know, what's going on in the interior of the planet. What are the gases that are being emitted? Are they studying that? That's a pretty good idea, and one that I sort of support. But then there's the other part when these volcanoes are dormant. Pretty good hiding place. Pretty good hiding place. You've got lava tubes, that are empty.
Right, but this volcano is the most active in the country, so that makes you question
Yeah.
if there really are extraterrestrials in this volcano, how is it possible?
Right. So, are these probes? Are these measuring devices that are being sent in? We are interested in the volcanoes on Mars, and the activity on the surface of Venus or even Jupiter and Saturn. What is going on there? We know that there are volcanoes all over Mars. We've photographed them. And we are very interested in what's going on. So, would the same interest be there for us? I'm not. Okay. I want to say this. There are stories about ET living at Shasta, not and craft entering and leaving Shasta, not because it's a volcano, because it's huge. You've got tens and tens of miles of interconnecting lava tubes under the ground that you can walk in. You can go and walk in these lava tubes anywhere in the world. And survive and exist and explore, and it would be a great hiding place. If we take a look at Mars, now listen to what I'm saying. One of the ideas that has been put forward about us getting a foothold on Mars and living on Mars isn't necessarily to build a dome city, but let's live in some of these lava tubes. They're already naturally sheltered from the radiation. Everything is there. Below ground, oxygen, carbon dioxide up in the atmosphere of Mars. It's not breathable, but the lower you get, the more oxygen there is. And maybe once you're below the surface of Mars and you're down in these tubes, that there is oxygen there, that maybe you wouldn't even need to wear a helmet. And if these are the ideas that we are putting forward, why would it be any different for ET here on this planet? So, yeah, there is some real activity at that volcano. Some of the most incredible videos. Jaime, last year, Jaime showed some of his latest videos of this specific volcano, of these craft coming and going. And I got to tell you, it's not some kind of natural phenomena, whatever it is. There is something. Maybe it's our own government. I don't know, but there is something definitely flying into and out of those volcanoes.
Exofa says transmedium perhaps work on lava like water, air, and vacuum. That's an interesting thought and not one that I considered. Also, thank you so much. But do you think that a craft made out of metal or even exotic metal would be able to plunge into molten lava?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of exotic materials can withstand that. I simply don't know. I don't know what the surface temperatures of titanium, aluminum is going to melt. Titanium, some of the harder metals. I don't know. That's a great question.
It is a great question. I agree. In March of 2004, a Mexican Air Force plane searching for illegal drug smugglers using an infrared camera videotaped 11 objects flying 2 miles over Ciudad de Carmen in the state of Campeche. Although the objects were invisible to the air crew, they were picked up by the plane's radar. And the crew claimed they were being followed by when trying to follow these craft, they ended up being surrounded by them. But then the objects disappeared when the crew stopped the pursuit. The speeds were said to have increased from 100 miles per hour to 300 miles per hour in seconds, something that simply our jets can't do yet. And there are multiple stories of pilots seeing UFOs in Mexico, especially in Mexico. But it seems that when we are talking about the United States, we can look at Ryan Graves, for example, the most famous man when it comes to the being an Air Force pilot, stating on 60 Minutes that they're seeing UFOs every single day. So even though we're talking about multiple pilots in Mexico seeing UFOs, maybe it's happening all around the globe and people just aren't talking about it, or it's just not being publicized.
Campeche. The the video that was recorded, we have a couple of things that we can look at that are pretty interesting. One, there is video of the crew inside of the craft, looking out the windows, wow, what's going on, and pointing the cameras outside. So this is something that went on over a pretty good length of time. They were, they had their radars going. They were looking for, drug smugglers and so forth. And when this stuff was picked up with whether it was infrared or a FLIR, forward looking, I'm not so sure, but they knew that they were seeing it picked up through the cameras, and they weren't seeing it through their eyes because they were looking out of the windows of the aircraft because they could see in the general direction where these cameras were picking it up, and nothing was there. Now, the story may have been, I'm not here to debunk, okay? But this is where the story for me, I think that it's like the game of telephone. The story's been told so many times that it has been elevated into something that it is not. Now, what it may have been, okay, I'm not here to bum everybody out, but below on the ground, there were oil fields, oil drilling rigs that were burning excess fuel at the top. You see the little fires burning. And that may have been what they were filming. You couldn't see the fires from the aircraft. They're small, but the cameras are picking them up because it's a very hot source. And so is that possibly what they were picking up? Now, the confusing part about this, now that is part of the other research that has gone in to this specific piece of film. It's an incredible piece of film if you see it, because with the infrared and where the clouds are, it almost looks like if it was on the ground, that it's up higher and in the clouds, because of you're not looking at full spectrum video. Okay, you follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the question of them being followed and the reaction to the crew on the plane, they felt that these 11 craft were pacing with them over a great length of time. So that was a pretty strange part about this that would remove the oil fields part. But it just may be that that's what was going on here, and it wasn't anything of supernatural, paranormal, ET related at all. These may have been heat signatures from the ground from an oil field.
Well, I don't know too much about those oil fields to where I can agree or disagree with you, but I think that's a very important factor to mention, and I'm really happy that you did bring it up. Now, in the year later, in 2005, there's one story that happened on April 11th, where by the name of Arturo Rubes Gil, a photographer, recorded about 100 luminous objects in the sky. Now, I'm going to share the video in just a moment, but before we continue, I found this one a little bit more difficult to believe. I read in some areas that it really did happen. I read in others that this photographer was a hoaxer. And the big reason to why I brought up this case, to why I'm even talking about it now, was because Jaime brought it up and he talked about it on his television program, The Great Mysteries. And because he's a more credible researcher, that's kind of why I'm talking about this. Otherwise, I don't think I would. Now, I'm going to show the video. And Timmy, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
have
do.
you
Oh,
read the story?
it's a very interesting video. And you have the video itself.
I'm pulling it up through YouTube, so I'm about to share.
Okay, let's go.
this-
Let's go.
Oh, I'm getting there.
Come on, faster, man, faster.
Okay, one sec. Please talk about the story while I figure this out.
It's 100 objects in the sky. The video sent in to Jaime Maussan in 2005 and aired on Telemundo. No, what's Azteca TV on his show, The Great Mysteries. The Grande Misterioso. Oh man.
Got it.
I
Okay.
love Jaime. Jaime's so cool.
Here we go. We're about to play it. Let me fast forward this. Oh crap! What did I do? Okay. Sorry. I'm pulling it up. Here we go. Can you guys see it? Do you see it?
Oh yeah.
Can you hear it?
Cannot.
Okay, that's fine because there's no important audio. But if you look at this, these are the craft that he is referring to. Now, I could easily state that these could be either lanterns, Chinese lanterns, or maybe even like floating plastic bags, for example. So I just find this one a little bit more difficult to state either being true or not. But for those that saw it,
Yeah,
I want to know in the live chat, what do you guys think about this video? I'll place it in. I'll place the link as well.
It's that's a tough one. I wasn't there, right? Thank you for the gallon of gas.
Thank you, Jerry.
And see, most people don't know. Christina drives a raised Ford F-350, and it literally gets a mile per gallon. So she will be able to, with those funds, to drive to the gas station and get more gas. So there you go. I wasn't there, so I don't know what you're seeing with the naked eye. I don't. The first time I saw this video, I thought these are birds. That's the first thing. It was shot in 2005. So was it shot with DV, digital video, which would have been on tape, but you could still shoot on video? Was it done analog, shot in a traditional video format? I don't know, but they all. Here's the reason why I say it could be birds. All of those objects are exactly the same, right? They're little white rectangles. So are we just looking at a couple of pixels that are orientated that way because they're not turning and they're not moving around? So that's a very strange thing to have them all like that, which would say to me that it is a pixelization of picking up something that is very, very small. And I'm thinking it's birds, and that it wasn't, it's too far away. So you're not going to pick up the flapping of the wings. You're picking up sunlight coming off of these birds, and you're picking up a few pixels, 4 pixels. And each one of these looks like a rectangular object. Now, Christina, if you could flip back to the video, can you do that? And now that I've just given you that explanation, I want
Yes.
everybody to go back and take another look at this. Now, how could all of these, because they're moving in random patterns, right? They're not staying still, but they're all rectangular white little squares. Look at Christina. Christina, click the mouse. That's what you want to do. You want to click the mouse. Okay, here we go. You see what I'm saying? Nothing is turning. All of them are rectangular. Now, when it zooms in, I'm thinking those are flapping wings. Do you see what I'm saying? You see how I've described this to you? Okay, so I'm feeling birds here. Now, as it pulls away, you see what I'm saying? You see the flapping and this thing that is happening? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm feeling birds. I'm feeling something natural there. I don't think that's 100 UFOs.
I don't know if there would be birds. I mean, I know that some feathers do reflect light, but in this particular case, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, and I'm not feeling alien intervention into climate change. I'm not feeling that. I've always felt that. I remember when I first saw the video, and I was like, "Come on, man! Really? Is this really news?"
It's a hard story to even cover because there are so many other possibilities of like, well, I think it could be this. It is really hard to say that it's UFOs in this story.
What and I think this came in from Jaime. Is this another Jaime case? Well, everything goes through Jaime.
That one in particular was covered by Jaime, yes.
Okay, so what's the backstory? What's the entire video? How did they appear? How did they leave?
Every time.
Yeah, what was it that compelled Jaime to cover this, and for Jaime not to just go, come on, no, we can't put this on national TV, but they did. So I don't know the entire backstory to it. All I know is I've seen this video 100 times, and I've never felt something, artificial about it. It never hit me that way. Unless it's like bags. The fact that they're all pixelated and in the same direction when the zoom goes in.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Well, there's another pilot sighting that happened in 2016, really not that long ago. And this one was written by the Montreal Le Canadien. I don't speak French, so please forgive me. But a Mexican Air Force pilot took a video of a UFO sighting in Mexico City, where it seemed just like Mexico City is just a ginormous UFO hotspot. So, Captain Carlos Rodriguez reported a UFO on the evening of 13th of March in 2016. The sighting took place in the Aqueduct of Guadalupe area north of Mexico City. Captain Carlos has reported as many as 6 UFO videos in the suburbs of Mexico City. He stated in an interview that, quote, "You can see a UFO that changes colors, moves in a zigzag left and right, flying over the entire area. Then the object rises vertically into the sky and approaches an airliner that was passing at the time directed towards the International Airport of Mexico City." The pilot who witnessed the sighting also said, quote, "It was around 10 p.m. when the witness called my cell phone to let me know what was happening in the sky, never imagining that the phenomenon would continue even for several minutes. And when it comes to any pilot sightings, I always have to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, being like, yeah, why would they lie about something like this? Also, Dennis, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. I didn't say that earlier, but I'm saying it now. Thank you. Go ahead, Jimmy. So with this story that happened in 2016, what can you say about the changing colors in particular compared to all the other characteristics, such as moving in a zigzag formation?
Yeah. And it sounds so similar to things that I have seen myself, and around that same time. And the zigzag, I'm going to say it wasn't my sighting. We had a large number of people with us. We've called it the Zorro Z, because the zig, when you see the movie Zorro and the sword goes, right?
Yeah.
That's what this thing did. And it was pretty crazy to see. And this was kind of a green-blue thing. Not to go back to our sighting, but this case is very similar to what we saw. And when you see something, it's one thing to see, lights in the sky and things, moving. When you see something zigzag, nothing zigzags.
No,
nothing.
except like flies.
Nothing. Right. Nothing zigzags. Helicopters don't zigzag. The satellites don't zigzag. Certainly airplanes don't. And everything is gradual in motion, and it takes time. So if you're going to see a helicopter zigzag, right, it's going to, it takes time. Plane's not going to do it. A rocket's not going to do it. But when you see a light, multicolored, one color, whatever, zip through the sky and zigzag in front of you, you're looking at something pretty phenomenal and spectacular. And this case is exactly, every time I try to describe, what we saw that night, I just realize I'm catching the words coming out of my mouth. I sound like I've lost my mind, because nothing zigzags. When people are trying to picture what in the sky, something doing this, and it doesn't compute, and you sound like a crazy person. And I get that. And so does this pilot. But it's very similar to our own sightings right around the same time. There's another case that I want to bring up from Mexico that you don't have video on. The other night, I had Tom Dongo on the show, and we were talking about Wendell Stevens. And Wendell I saw this video. He's showing this video. And, oh, man, look at that.
Stefan, thank you so much. It says, keep up the great shows, you guys. Your hair also looks good, Jimmy.
Now, what? What is NOK?
I am about to tell you.
What is
it? Is Norwegian. Ooh, we got a Norwegian. They have the best chocolate I've ever had.
Is that Kroners? What? I mean, are we looking at like? Are we looking at like?
Thank you so much. They have the best chocolate again I've ever had. The little heart ones. I don't know what they're called, but they're like thin and they just melt.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I love it.
Okay, so I'm watching this video, and the video is of a car dealership. I think it's like a used car dealership, live on TV. So you've got this, it's the sales guy out front. Come on down to Jaime's Car Emporium, right? It's in Spanish. And come on down. You've got elephants walking in the background, and I think he's got a little chimpanzee on his shoulder, and it's this. I'm not making that part up. I mean, it's like this, giraffe, and come on down. And while he's all enthusiastic, Christina, it's the craziest video. So he's doing his thing, and he's got his blue silk suit on, and jumping around, but nobody's paying attention to him. Everybody around him It's like and so he stops. The video is crazy. And he stops and he turns around and he looks and then he points and then the camera guy goes up and everybody there that was for this TV commercial is now looking at the sky and this flying saucer is just moving right across in front of everybody. And it lasts, it's probably like 2 minutes.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
pretty good length of time. And the camera follows it live on TV.
Wow.
It follows it into the clouds and it disappears. One of the craziest, and it's a flying saucer. It's like just like the Jetsons, man, and it's just cruising right along. And it's nuts, man. It's the whoever owned the car, he's like, cut, let's
That's a wrap.
thing. But it's again, it's Mexico, and it's an incredible video. I saw this. It's out there. You can find this on YouTube. I saw this with Wendell Stevens in I don't even know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. It was a long time ago. But I have since seen the video on YouTube, and I might have even seen it in a UFO documentary or TV show. It's an older video. It's been out there for a while. And anybody in the chat room that knows what I'm talking about, and if you can pull up that link, that would be awesome. But it's one of the most incredible things and it was just live on TV, and it's pretty funny. I think even the giraffe in the background went, the giraffe is higher, so he was closer and could see the flying saucer. Okay, what's next? What do we have next?
The next one, I think it's going to be probably one of the last ones that we covered today. And it states by a lot of locals near the Gulf Coast, a lot of Gulf Coast cities have little fear from extreme weather, thanks apparently to extraterrestrials lurking underwater. So near the coast, near the Gulf Coast, it is believed that there is an underwater extraterrestrial base. Now, that's pretty crazy. That is a really big claim. So, members of the Association of Scientific UFO Research of Tamaulipas, or ACOT, believe that an interdimensional underwater base of extraterrestrial origin has protected the coastal cities of Ciudad Madero and Tampico from hurricanes for more than 50 years. The president of this organization, called Juan Carlos Ramon Lopez Diaz, claims to have visited the base, known as Amupac, via astral projection, which he says he induced through meditation and a pescatarian diet. So he believes that the reason to why these coastal cities and towns are saved by intense hurricanes is that through a collective consciousness on believing that these entities are protecting them, they are unconsciously creating a force field around the area. Others claim that still believe this, that there is a underwater base, state that the aliens are only interested in protecting their base, and Ciudad Madero is just lucky to be there where these beings have their base. But what has been proven, while that story is definitely a stretch, what has been proven was that these towns near the Gulf of Mexico do witness less intense tropical storms, while subtropical hurricanes and strong prevailing westerly winds tend to push major hurricanes north toward the southern coast of the United States for the last 50 years. When I came across this, I was thinking, whoa, this is interesting. And I had to talk about it today.
the stories about Tampico and the underground base, and not only in the water, but there's stories about in Tampico. There's I don't know how to explain it, but this happens up and down the Gulf Coast, all the way up to Texas. But you have inlets of water that come in, and so some of these towns and cities are out, and then there's like a little coastal jetty where you have land out. It's hard to explain, but so here's the coast, and then you have a strip of land here, and you have water in the middle. Tampico is like that too as well, and that there are tunnels and things that are going on also behind the city. And these reports and these stories have been out there for a long time. And so what I ended up doing is when I first started to report about the Malibu underwater base, I had heard the stories about Tampico, and I also heard stories about the Gulf of Baja in Mexico. So I went, and without exaggeration, I went over probably a 1 month period. I looked at the coastline of every piece of land in the world. Okay? I did. I went on Google Earth. I started with the United States, and I went all the way down the coast, all the way down to the end of South America, around Cape Horn, came back up around Brazil, all the way through Gulf of Mexico, Tampico, around Florida, all the way up Greenland, all the way around.
So like the Ring of Fire.
I did every piece of where land meets water on planet Earth. I looked at it. I spent months and enlarging it and looking for other anomalies, like the Malibu underwater base and other areas around the world. Of course, Russia and China and Asia and Australia, New Zealand, Antarctica. Man, I spent a month on Antarctica just going around the coast. Anyway, I spent a lot of time in the Gulf of Mexico, and specifically Tampico, because these stories have been out there, which also include Puerto Rico over in the Caribbean. But I looked at Tampico, and I couldn't find what I was looking for there. I couldn't find an anomaly. In fact, I found the exact opposite. I was expecting to have the miracle, because I did find it with the Malibu underwater base. I did find a very strange anomaly in the Gulf of California, in the Baja of Mexico. I found clearly what looks like an airport there, and I have talked about that over the years. I couldn't find it in Tampico. Christina, I couldn't do it. It's the exact opposite. It is totally normal, right? There's the underwater in and around Tampico is pristine. There's nothing jetting up. There's nothing unusual. It's smooth as glass, and there's nothing there. In fact, it must be one of the greatest places to go and hang out, which goes back to what you were talking about, where the weather there has just been beautiful, right? Where there hasn't been this kind of action going on. It is absolutely smooth as glass for hundreds of miles out into the ocean and north and south, and then heading west inland. It's perfect.
What could be a possible explanation for something like that? Just having perfect weather when you're living in an area where you really shouldn't be.
Yeah. I spent so much time looking at coastlines of every continent. I'm just telling you right now, I was looking for something that would resemble the Malibu underwater base, because I wanted to debunk it, maybe. Or could I find another entrance like it somewhere else in the world where we could say, hey, look, there's something else. I spent a lot of time on this myself and other researchers that were friends of mine. And we spent a lot of time on this. I couldn't find anything, but I looked very, very hard, and specifically in and around Tampico. And not only for an alien thing, I was looking for underground Mayan temples, underground, pyramids, any kind of man-made structures, or I would say not made by Mother Earth, I should say, structures. I couldn't find anything in and around Tampico. It is so sublime. It's very strange. Very strange.
Jimmy, this has been such an interesting show, and I want to say thank you for being on as you are every single Thursday. Tonight is Fader night, so make sure to call in to Fade to Black Radio. I'm excited to hear some fantastic stories, as always.
We've got Fader night tonight, and it's my favorite night of the week, and I'll see everybody over there tonight, and then tomorrow I'll be at the Bradshaw Ranch in Arizona. I've got things all set up there, so hopefully I'll be able to live stream tomorrow night. I am going to live stream if it is possible. That's one of the things that I want to do. And I'll be there with Adrian Valera, and Michael of Sedona is going to be our tour guide. And then also tomorrow night, I'm going to head up to the Sedona Airport, which is on a plateau overlooking Sedona. And everybody says that is an incredible place. First off, you're up above the town, right? You're looking down. But you're above the light pollution and everything else, and it is just supposed to be unbelievably spectacular. So I'll be doing that tomorrow night, and then of course I'll be at the conference on Saturday, and then what am I doing? Oh, Sunday, Phoenix for the 25th anniversary of the Phoenix Lights with Lynn Katay and everybody else there in the city of Phoenix. So that's my weekend. I'll see everybody tonight on Fader night. Thank you so much, Christina. Great hair. Good hair day. I'll see
I'm telling you, I washed it and I put shampoo this time. Just kidding. But thank you. And it seems like you're going to have a lot of fun this weekend. And I know a lot of us are excited to see what you'll be posting on social media when you visit. Bye.
I'll see you tonight.
Well, that was a fantastic show. Thank you for everyone watching this live, everyone in the live chat, all the super chats, super stickers, the YouTube members, and the Patreon. It is always fun to do these shows with you. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.